Good evening, and welcome to a very special senior episode of NewsNight. I'm Erin Ute. We'll have all your international, national, and local news. I'm graduating senior Erin Ute.
And I'm graduating senior Brendan McNamara. From the effects of heavy rainfall worldwide to the most recent updates on Point Park's campus, we have all the details.
Plus, stay tuned to hear a special farewell message from the graduating seniors of NewsNight at the end.
All this and more coming up on NewsNight.
Last Thursday, McDonald's said it would be buying back all of its 225 franchised restaurant locations in Israel. This comes weeks after the company stated that boycotts and protests over the Israel-Hamas war had hurt business in the Middle East. McDonald's operations in the Middle region fell when franchises in Israel, run by the company Elan Yal Limited, began donating thousands of meals to Israel soldiers after the deadly Hamas-led attacks on October 7th. At the time, the donations were described as a show of solidarity to the military and hospital workers, but led to boycotts in neighboring countries, McDonald's franchises such as Jordan, Oman, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, the United Emirates. In Kuwait and Qatar, McDonald's franchise owners also pledged hundreds of thousands of dollars for relief efforts in Gaza. The new deal reached on Thursday would bring all of the stores in Israel under management of the McDonald's Corporation, meaning that the estimated 5,000 workers would be keeping their jobs. Other companies like Starbucks have been called out on claims of supporting Israel with their businesses in the country remaining open. Both McDonald's and Starbucks have issued statements denouncing the claims, but have not addressed the boycotts. Tensions between Mexico and Ecuador result in severed ties between two nations. Our reporter Leslie Krebs is here with all the details on what event caused this political breakup. Leslie?
This past Friday, Ecuadorian police broke into the Mexican embassy located in Quito to arrest Jorge Glass, the former Ecuadorian vice president. This caused Mexico to sever its ties with Ecuador, which Mexico's President Andrés Manuel López Obrador announced late that evening. Ever since December, Glass had been residing at the embassy seeking political asylum after previously being indicted on charges of corruption. Saturday, Glass was forcibly moved from the Attorney General's office in Quito to a Mexican security prison in Guayaquil, where he will remain in custody for the time being. Ecuador's president made an announcement in defense of the decision, saying, quote, "Ecuador is a sovereign nation, and we are not going to allow any criminal to stay free," end quote. Mexico's Secretary of Foreign Relations, Alicia Bárcena, announced on X, formerly Twitter, that the break-in violated the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations, and that Mexico would be taking the case to the International Court of Justice to, quote, "denounce Ecuador's responsibility for the violations of international law," end quote. The Mexican embassy remains under heavy guard, and Ecuador has named Mexico's ambassador unwelcome by labeling them as persona non grata.
Thank you, Leslie. A major flood in the Russian city of Orsk has forced thousands to evacuate after a dam burst. Since the start of spring, several regions in the Ural Mountains and Siberia have been affected by floods. According to the Moscow Times, about 4,500 people have been evacuated from the city, with an estimated 6,000 homes underwater. The Russian government has declared a federal emergency in the Orenburg region. Authorities say the situation is difficult throughout the region and warn that water levels on the Ural River have reached dangerous levels near the main city of Orenburg. Authorities have also opened a criminal investigation for, quote, negligence and violation of construction safety rules, end quote, over the burst dam, which was built back in 2014. A search is underway after a fishing vessel capsized. First-time NewsNight reporter Dylan Yarrington is here with the story. Dylan?
At least 90 people are dead and over a dozen are missing after a crowded boat capsized off the coast of Mozambique on Sunday. Local authorities say the overloaded fishing vessel, carrying around 130 passengers, was traveling from Lunga to the island of Mozambique. Secretary of State Jamie Nito confirmed that there were 11 survivors so far and many women and children are among the deceased. Some of the boatgoers were fleeing rumors of a cholera outbreak, while others were headed to the local fair on the island. The search for survivors continues, but rough waters are putting a damper on rescue efforts. Our thoughts are with the families during this tragic time.
The European Court of Human Rights ruled this Tuesday that Switzerland had violated human rights laws through their failure to address the climate change crisis. This was a big win for climate activists as more than 2,500 older women across the country brought this case to international attention. The women, most being in their 70s, claim Switzerland violated the, quote, right to respect for private and family life, end quote, as the extreme heat waves have affected their quality of life and health. This case may set a precedent for other national courts on the topic of failing to meet climate targets. When we return, a lawsuit filmed against a major corporation. Find out if you could have been affected and how to make a claim. Also stay tuned to hear about an advertising campaign the Biden administration has shifted its focus to. A class action lawsuit filed against Walmart in October of 2022 has finally been settled. The lawsuit, based out of Tampa, Florida, alleges that Walmart shoppers across the U.S. and Puerto Rico who purchased certain sold-by-weight meat and seafood, as well as citrus sold in bulk bags, paid more than the lowest price advertised in stores. Walmart has denied these allegations, but agreed to pay $45 million to settle the lawsuit. Any impacted customers can now submit claims for cash payments. Items must be purchased between October 19, 2018 and January 19, 2024. Customers must file the claims before June 5th. You can either submit a claim by mail or online at walmartweightedgrocerysettlement.com. Payments will vary in the amount depending on each individual claim. Customers without proof can receive between $10 and $15, depending on how many eligible products they attest to buying during this period. Those with receipts with recipients or other documentation could be entitled to get 2% of the total cost of each product they purchased, but only up to $500. Payments will be made through Venmo, Zelle, and prepaid MasterCards. Checks are available by request. A final hearing for the case is set for June 12th.
President Joe Biden may face difficulty getting on the general election ballot in Ohio unless Democrats make changes or the Ohio legislature acts. According to CNN, Ohio law stipulates an August 7th deadline to, quote, certify a presidential candidate to this office, end quote. However, this year's Democratic National Convention, where the party nominee is formally announced, takes place on August 19th. In a letter addressed to the Ohio Democratic Party, Paul DeSantis, chief legal counsel for the Ohio Secretary of State, laid out the options for Democrats getting the president on the ballot. DeSantis wrote, quote, I am left to conclude that the Democratic National Committee must either move up its nominating convention or the Ohio General Assembly must act by May 9, 2024 to create an exception to this statutory requirement, end quote. A representative from the Biden campaign said, quote, "We're monitoring the situation in Ohio, and we're confident that Joe Biden will be on the ballot in all 50 states," end quote. Former President Donald Trump won Ohio in both 2016 and 2020. A prominent political figure's office was under fire, literally after an attack late last week. Reporter Leslie Krebs has the details. Leslie?
This past Friday, a man set fire mid-morning outside Senator Bernie Sanders' office in Burlington, Vermont. The man started the fire by spraying a fire accelerant near the door to Senator Sanders' office and lit it with a lighter, creating an instant fire. The fire triggered the sprinkler system while the man fled from the scene. At the time, multiple people were inside the office working, but were able to evacuate safely with no injuries reported. Senator Sanders at the time was not in his office. Firefighters arrived at the scene by 10:45 a.m. and noted the fire had already been extinguished by the sprinkler system. Police were able to arrest the man responsible, Michael Sagamonian, Sunday after catching him on a security camera setting the fire. He has been arrested on the charge of using fire to damage a building. At this time, police have no possible motive for the fire, and a court date has yet to be scheduled, but Sagamonian could face up to 20 years in prison.
A new advertisement by the Joe Biden campaign is focusing on abortion, analyzing the case of a Texas woman who says she nearly died due to her inability to access an abortion. President Biden has stated that if he was reelected, he would work to seek the original Roe v. Wade decision made into law. This ad aired just hours after Donald Trump made comments saying that abortion rights should be left to individual states to decide. April showers bring landslides. Coming up, we'll have everything you need to know about what areas have been heavily affected by the rain and what cleanup plans are underway. Plus, from tuition increases to eclipse watch parties, we'll have all the most recent updates on Point Park's campus. We'll be right back. Tuition for the 2024-2025 academic year will be going up 3.9% for undergraduate students. According to the tuition and cost page on the Point Park website, each semester will now cost $18,825 for non-conservatory of performing arts majors, compared to the $17,440 of this past academic year. COPA students will be paying $23,970 per semester. For both semesters, COPA students will be paying $10,290 more in tuition than non-COPA students. The university fee has gone up as well at $440 per semester instead of last year's $350. The technology fee of $350 per semester is the same, as well as the health services fee of $100. Costs for food and on-campus housing have remained relatively the same. A double room in Lawrence or Thayer Hall was $2,940 last year, and is now at $3,000. Merit-based scholarships for incoming students have also increased. The largest amount per academic year is now $24,000 versus $20,000. Last year, the average annual assistance for incoming students was $30,560. President Chris Brusala said that these increases are in line with the rates of inflation. According to the Bureau of Labor of Statistics, prices for all items increased also 3.9% from January 2023 to January 2024, compared to the 5.6% from January 2022 to January 2023. A due date for fall payments has not yet been set. The deadline for tuition deposits for incoming students was extended from May 1st to June 1st due to ongoing issues with FAFSA.
Last week's heavy rains left major impacts on the Pittsburgh region. With floodwaters now receding and cleanup efforts underway, a landslide has affected part of U.S. Route 40 in South Strabane Township, Washington County. The landslide developed Thursday afternoon as part of a large hillside along Route 40 collapsed, sending tons of dirt and utility poles down the hill. According to KDKA, engineers from PennDOT and South Strabane officials are closely monitoring the landslide and have shut down at least one lane of traffic. Visible cracks have appeared in the roadway and more are expected to develop. However, officials do not believe that Route 40 itself will collapse. South Strabane Fire Chief Jordan Kramer is urging people to stay away from the slide, telling KDKA, quote, "It is very likely the amount of rain we have received in such a short period had something to do with this. Whether there were small incremental changes over time, nearly 5 inches of rain over a 48 to 72 hour period likely had a lot to do with this," end quote. Concrete barriers have now been placed around the site for protection. Pittsburgh Police's cold case department is beginning to warm back up after leads of a possible buried body in the north side brought investigators to an empty lot to dig up the truth. Our reporter Dylan Yarrington is here with the report on what they did or didn't find. Dylan?
A decades-old murder mystery started to unfold earlier this week in the north side. Pittsburgh police searched an abandoned lot for a possible hidden body after receiving a tip from a woman who wishes to remain anonymous. She recalled a traumatic scene from her childhood in which she witnessed her father dragging something heavy to the basement in the early 80s. Cold case detective George Sattler says, quote, "She believes it was a body, but didn't actually see a body. Just by the way he was dragging it, it was heavy," end quote. Unfortunately, the dig on the property did not yield any human remains, only a dress and a single shoe. The suspect, Thomas Smith, passed away years ago. However, Detective Sattler revealed that Smith was also a prime suspect in the 1989 murder of Pamela Webb, which still remains unsolved to this day. This case is one of many that the cold case department in Pittsburgh is starting to open back up, with a recent arrest in the 2015 murder of Juwan Tasker, giving local families hope that they will find answers soon. And hopefully, investigators dig up the truth soon. But in the meantime, it's back to you, Aaron, at the desk.
This past Monday, Point Park students took to Village Park to view the solar eclipse. While Pittsburgh was forecasted to have cloud coverage, it was minimal for the duration of the eclipse, giving students a chance to view the 97% totality the city achieved. If you missed this one, you'll have to wait a while for it to come again. There won't be another coast-to-coast eclipse for another 21 years on August 12th, 2045. When we return, we'll have all your local Pittsburgh weather update. Find out if you should expect sunshine or showers for your finals week forecast. Plus, stay tuned to hear a little bit about a hero whose mighty deeds have saved lives. Also, we have a very special surprise in store to honor our graduating seniors. Stay tuned and you won't want to miss this.
It's a tough crowd.
A small boy made a big impact last Friday morning. Around 4:40 a.m., 5-year-old Jawan Perry Jr. woke up to the smell of smoke in his home in Warren, Michigan. He then saw flames and called out for his mom. The shouts from Jawan came just in time, and his mom, Brittany Lee, was able to get herself and all 7 of her children out to safety. Lee told WXYZ Detroit, quote, "If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be here. He is my hero always," end quote. The fast-paced actions of Jawan saved his mother and 6 siblings. As a result of the fire, the family of 8 stayed in a hotel for a few days, courtesy of the American Red Cross. However, to help the family replace the items lost in the fire, you can donate on the GoFundMe page. April showers have most definitely been the case in Pittsburgh's forecast the last few weeks. Our weather reporter Loger Abdus is here to update you on what to expect for the coming week. Loger?
Thanks, Erin. Pittsburgh weather has been quite moody these last few weeks, and although we got a couple of days of sunshine, don't pack up your ponchos and rain boots just yet. Thursday forecast is showing warm temperatures reaching into the mid-70s. However, there is heavy rainfall and thunderstorms expected throughout the day, with high probabilities of rain reaching a 95% chance and a 29% chance of thunderstorms. Additionally, the forecast shows gusty winds reaching up to 38 miles per hour and anticipates small-sized hail. In the evening, temperatures are expected to drop into the low 50s and showers are to last all throughout the night. Although the end of the week looks gloomy, the weekend will see sun beginning to peek around the clouds. Saturday will be a bit cooler in temperature, reaching the low 60s and being a bit breezy throughout the day, but there is no expected rain. Sunday, however, will see showers throughout the afternoon and temperatures reaching the mid-70s. Don't feel discouraged, because at the start of next week, we will finally see some sunshine that lasts longer than a few days. Temperatures will maintain the mid to high 70s throughout the week with minimal cloud coverage and little to no rain. This is an opportune time to get your study sessions done in the sun. That's all I have for you this week. Now let's send it back to the desk.
Thank you, Loger. Before we end the show today, we have a very special surprise.
As we come to the close of our last news night together, there are plenty of memories that we can reflect on.
Here is a little video commemorating all of NewsNight's 2024 seniors and the journey they've made.
I first joined UView probably my first or second week of school being here. It was COVID, there wasn't much to do, and I did the TV program in my high school, so I knew I wanted to do the stuff here. I didn't want to just do classes and things like that. So I went to the interest meeting. We were all spaced out in our chairs like 6 feet apart, maybe 3 feet apart, whatever it was. But it was just it just seemed like a nice place to be even during that first meeting. And then I did the audition for the Daybreak host, and me and Sam Hindman got it, and the rest was history. This week on NewsNight, we'll tell you how Pittsburgh is working to combat racism in our city and how groups are reacting to this change. Find out what President Trump's tax returns mean for the election and how the stress of the election is affecting people and their mental health. All this and more coming up on NewsNight.
Claire Lindsay was my honors mentor, and right away she told us, everybody join UView. So I joined right away first semester and went to the general interest meeting and have been doing NewsNight ever since. Gabby Petito, a case that has swept the nation. Petito, a 22-year-old woman from Suffolk County, New York, was reported missing on September 11th while traveling across the United States in a van with her fiancé, Brian Laundrie.
So I got started at UView the spring of 2023, and it was really after I didn't really know where I wanted to go with journalism, and so I figured I'd just give UView a try because I was between becoming a print journalist or, doing TV. I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I figured I'd give UView a try, and lo and behold, I love it, and it is, I do intend to seek a job in TV journalism. Italy's most wanted man has been caught and arrested in Sicily this past Monday. Mafia boss Matteo Messina Denaro, who has been a fugitive since 1993.
It's hard to choose one favorite memory. There's so many good memories here at UView, but I think the April Fool's shows are always my favorite. I loved when Nick dressed up as Joe Biden, when we had Dawn Green on for like the President's show. Those were always fun times, and it's fun to be a little less serious on the news side. Or just anytime, just hanging out before shows and after shows. It's always a blast.
Hosting NewsNight would be my favorite memory from UView. I do like being in front of the camera and being with everybody there. So I would say just in general, yes, hosting Newsnight is my favorite memory of UView.
My favorite UView memory would have to be the election show from this past semester, because it just felt like the culmination of everything that I've learned here at Point Park and everything I learned at UView. Me, Addie, Kalyan planning it months, before, figuring out everything that we have to do, curious if we were going to cancel it the weekend before because there was so much to be done. But it was so much fun doing a full hour-and-a-half long live show with the thrill of live TV. I don't know if it's just because I did theater in high school or what it is, but that feeling from doing live TV, doing live reporting, that we had Jonah and Jill doing our live reporters, it was just so much fun. And when it was finally over, it just felt like a sigh of relief, not only to have it finally done after all the stress, but just really proud that all of us worked together and did something great. And that's what UView is all about, in my opinion.
People who are looking to join UView, I would highly recommend it. Even if you're unsure of what you want to do, just give it a try. You might like it. And if you don't, that's okay. You can try something else. For people in UView still, keep doing what you're doing, keep working hard, and keep pushing forward.
Advice for anybody joining UView or people still in UView, I think just stay with it. Sometimes it is tedious and a lot to do it every single week, but this is where we build all of our skills, build our portfolio, and help us getting into the next step. And just enjoy it. It goes fast. And make friends. It's so easy, and just have fun.
If you're new to UView and you're just coming in, or even if you've been here for a while and you're just kind of doing the day-to-day, the week-to-week work, I'd say, my advice to anyone in that position would be try something different. Go out of your comfort zone, go out of bounds, because sure, it's so easy to get stuck in the week-to-week of, doing these shows, doing these roles, doing the same thing. But it's always important to take a step back and see what could maybe be done differently and what could be done that's new and exciting. I mean, late night snooze was something that came off of a class that we were doing, and Kyle and Gavin, took that and ran with it, and now it feels like it's been a part of UView forever. So I think being able to, do your own thing, start your own thing, say, hey, this is something that I'd like to do, maybe I should pursue it. You should never not pursue it, because you never know what could come up out of it, and something like late night snooze is just the most recent example of people doing great things just off the bat and doing something that is off the beaten path of what we normally do at UView.
I think my favorite part of Brendan and Aaron being in part of the Newsnight crew is just the professionalism and the consistency that they always brought to the crew. They were writing stories every single week, and we always had a good, full show because of that. And I loved having them, and I'm gonna miss them so much.
What I'm going to miss most about the seniors is their dedication. There was never a moment where they didn't volunteer to fill in a space when we needed it, or their willingness to anchor or report or do jobs behind the camera.
What I'm going to miss most about the seniors leaving is how they contributed to the partnership in the group aspect, you know what I mean? Everybody was there to contribute, pick up the slack. There wasn't a role left behind, and if there was, people put on their shoes and, filled it twice. And I really loved just the unified family feel of the professional vibe of the show. We all did it. We would get to it, grind it, and then at the end we're like, we did it. And I'm gonna miss having the people a part of that team.
Oh, that's very sweet.
That's Addie, you killed it. Shout out Addie Deal. She edited that. Yeah. Wow. The Gabby Petito. I would like to say that I think my diction has improved just a little.
Yeah, I just can't believe it's already done. It feels like it just went by like that so quickly, and here we are about to graduate. It's crazy.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Shout out Nick. Missy, you should be here. Couldn't have done it without you, without Grace, without Ethan, without Kay. Big shout out.
Yeah, big shout out to everybody.
Yeah. And for the very last time, thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Newsnight. If you want to see more, check out our social media pages on both Facebook and Instagram at UView Television.
You can also check out more episodes on our YouTube channel or our website, uview.pointpark.edu. I'm Brendan McNamara.
And I'm Erin Ute from everyone here at NewsNight. Thank you for watching and have a great evening.